Good afternoon, everybody. I hope all is well. We have many changes in store for the entire United States for this upcoming week. We will have multiple instances of record high and low temperatures, as well as a robust winter storm system with extremely heavy snow and a destructive ice storm heading in by the middle of the work week. Let's start by breaking down the data to ensure that the folks within the path of these systems and many changes incoming know exactly what to expect this week. We can definitely start by looking at the water vapor imagery here, folks. So here resides that aforementioned robust upper level low. This system is allowing for the building of warm air and warm southwesterly flow to be pushing across portions of the southern Great Plains, as well as into the southeast, where extremely warm temperatures will be observed over the next few days. And during the same time period, we're going to have this massive plunge of truly cold, deep Arctic air that is continuing to build up here across portions of northern Canada here. This air will be making a dive to the south in the days ahead. So let's take a look at the temperatures across the nation here, folks. It definitely looks like we have a broad area of 30 to 50 degrees below zero up here through Canada, which is some serious cold air, ladies and gentlemen. A chunk of this cold air will be diving southward over the next few days, which will set the stage for the aforementioned robust winter storm, which will bring extremely heavy snow as well as ice, unfortunately. So it's definitely not going to be a good situation. So it's definitely be pretty interesting as what we have going on. So that robust upper level low is going to be situated here. This system will be allowing for the building of a warm southwesterly flow. You can definitely see that, definitely with these temperatures here, pushing across portions of the southern Great Plains as well as in the southeast, where extremely warm temperatures will be observed over the next few days. During the same time period, we have that massive cold air plunge from the north, and this deep Arctic air will be sort of locked into place for now into northern Canada. However, as we move later into the week, a piece of this will definitely break off, and several pieces will break off and move down into the continental United States here. So this cold air will be definitely making a dive to the south in the days ahead. So it's not going to be good. This is going to set the stage for a very massive winter storm and ice storm to develop right across in this region here, guys. So we're going to have to watch this very carefully. Let's investigate the overall setup by Wednesday here, folks. We have this massive low pressure system that will be diving in across the west coast, bringing extremely cold temperatures into California and across much of the west coast and even into the desert southwest. This will bring a plethora of very cold rain and some snow as well. This could actually move into Los Angeles, believe it or not, folks. It's definitely be a very interesting setup. During this same time period as well, we will have a big ridge of high pressure that will be dominating the southern Great Plains and a large portion of the southeast up through the coastal region as well into the northeast, where record high temperatures will be filtering into place. All right, ladies and gentlemen, a sharp gradient will also be setting up, which will be setting the stage for the significant winter storm that we mentioned. In fact, folks, if we zoom into the overall watches and warnings currently taking place, we can see all of these. It's definitely pretty crazy. We have numerous winter storm warnings covering much of the west coast here, which dives south all the way through California, even into the Los Angeles area. So it's definitely pretty crazy. It's going to get very chilly and unusual down here into Los Angeles, and the heavy snow will be flying across portions of Arizona up through Flagstaff for sure. We also have blizzard warnings here issued through a good portion of Wyoming. And these will most likely extend off to the east and northeast. Winter storm warnings extend all the way back to the north of into Montana, Idaho as well. So it's definitely pretty interesting. The heaviest snows will be coming across areas such as Sioux Falls here and up through Minneapolis and St. Paul, with lighter snowfalls up towards Bismarck. So basically, it's going to be very interesting. These watches and warnings will be extending off to the east and northeast as well. You can see they even extend into portions of Michigan here. But take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. This is definitely interesting to see Los Angeles under one of these watches here. So this is a winter storm watch. So this is from Tuesday evening through Saturday afternoon. So it's not good. Heavy snow accumulations, wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour with dangerous wind chills could definitely happen here. This is going to be all mountain roadways will be impacted with dangerous winter weather conditions, including Interstate 5 through Grapevine, Highway 14, and Highway 33. This includes Ventura County Mountains and Los Angeles County Mountains. So it's definitely pretty interesting to see this here, folks. All right, before I get a little too ahead of myself here, folks, if you're new to the channel and enjoy being kept in the know of what's going on with the weather, be sure to hit that subscribe button and enable notifications to ensure you do not miss any future weather updates. We will be moving to a position where we can upload daily on this channel, which will definitely be amazing here. Also, hit that like button and leave us a comment down below. We absolutely love hearing from you guys. Lastly, share this information as well to ensure it reaches the folks that need it the most. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at the temperatures. So temperatures are definitely on the rise here in the south and the deep south as well, where numerous 80-degree temperatures will be in place across Texas and the southeast as well. Some elevated temperatures will reach into the 50s and 60s, all the way up through Missouri and up through Illinois, Ohio as well, and even into Pennsylvania, where the World Weather Authority studio is located. This Arctic air is menacingly awaiting its turn to plunge downward from the north from Canada here. However, some smaller pieces will begin to filter in, so it's definitely pretty interesting. As we go into tomorrow, folks, more colder air will begin to sag further southward, and the temperature gradient will continue to become more extreme and enhanced as numerous record highs will build across the southern plains here, and many cities across the southeast as well. And I definitely think the main push of Arctic air will be plunging down further westbound here, bringing the colder temperatures in, which is exactly why we saw those plethora of winter watches and warnings that have been issued earlier. So we definitely have a lot, even down into areas such as Los Angeles. It's definitely pretty crazy to see those warnings definitely reaching that far south into California. So it's definitely going to be a pretty big shock for the folks that live down there. It's also going to be extremely windy as this system approaches as well. Shown here are the overall wind gusts over the next 48 hours, and these winds will be screaming between 60 and 70 miles per hour at times. These will be blanketed across the west coast here and down through Nevada and especially through Arizona, New Mexico, and even across portions of Texas as well. Not many will be able to hide from these higher wind gusts, folks, especially over the next 48 hours as this system digs in and the robust trough digs down to the south. These higher wind gusts will make it all the way down through Mexico as well. You can definitely see some of these wind gusts here. If we take a look at the chart, we could possibly see in these darker red areas here, we could definitely see wind gusts of about 60 to 68 miles per hour. And as we head into these lighter areas here through Arizona and New Mexico, down through Mexico as well, and even into the Sierra Nevadas here, and up through portions of Colorado and Wyoming here, we could definitely see wind gusts of 76 to 85 miles per hour over the next 48 hours. So these winds are going to be screaming for sure. Let's also take a look at the 48-hour maximum reflectivity. These green shaded areas here represent very light rain. The yellow and the orangish shaded areas indicate moderate rain, and the red areas here indicate very heavy rainfall. We can very clearly see that trough meandering over the western coast of the United States. This will propagate across with the initial onset of some cold rain across Arizona, southern New Mexico, and Mexico as well. We will also have our first push of energy moving into northern Texas, heading into Oklahoma as well. Within the southwesterly flow, some light, moderate rain, as well as heavy rains will develop over the next couple days across much of the eastern portion of the country here. So you can see the red, yellow, orange definitely developing here. So it's definitely not a good situation. It's going to be developing across Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, especially here with along Oklahoma as well. So definitely not good. We can definitely see reflectivity values of 51 to 57 dBz here, which that definitely indicates some very heavy rainfall from northern Texas, Oklahoma through Missouri as well. And this actually extends into Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and even into Pennsylvania here, down through the Appalachian Mountains, all the way down into Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. So it's definitely going to be very interesting as we head in over the next 48 hours. All the while, the snow will begin to develop out west, which these preliminary totals from the current time through Wednesday, as stated previously, the initial blip of energy will propagate across the Intermountain West, and snow will begin to filter across the west coast, eventually making its way down into California as well. Across the northern plains, the first initial pulse of snow will also be developing, and even into portions of northern Michigan here as well. And we'll have additional snowfall totals through the rest of the work week as well as the rest of the system actually propagates through. All right, let's take a look at the overall setup by Wednesday around lunchtime. The aforementioned robust trough will be digging further south. And yes, and if you're wondering, locations within Southern California could see some snow within the higher elevations, of course. But I cannot rule out a few flakes flying within Los Angeles, believe it or not, folks. Heavier snow bands will be setting up across Flagstaff up through Salt Lake City as well, heading into the western slopes of the Rocky Mountains here, with blizzard conditions occurring across portions of Wyoming and Colorado here, which will move into portions of the Dakotas as well. Down through North Texas and Oklahoma, we're going to have bits of energy that'll pulsate through, where we can see some light to moderate rainfall, which will extend through portions of Arkansas, down through Louisiana as well. This will be rapidly moving through, though, about 50 to 60 miles per hour. Thus, it will not be drenching the region with major rainfall totals. But this system does contain a plethora of instability further south, where we can see some severe weather develop. We can also depict some of that ice, the onset of some ice as well, which will pick up in intensity when this ice storm unfolds within the next few days. Further south within southeastern Oklahoma, northeastern Texas, much of Arkansas into northern Louisiana here, the Boot Heel of Missouri as well, and over through western Tennessee and down through western and northern Mississippi. You should be on the lookout for strong to severe thunderstorms over the course of Wednesday morning through Wednesday afternoon. This does include areas such as the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex up through Gainesville, Ardmore as well, down at the southern and southeastern Oklahoma, Durant, Idabel as well, over into the Shreveport area, through Monroe, up through El Dorado, and up through Little Rock as well, and even into Memphis and Grenada, and even into Tupelo, Mississippi. This will not be a major severe weather event. However, some cells could be strong and possibly severe, as the SPC, or the Storm Prediction Center, has issued a marginal risk across the aforementioned areas Wednesday morning through Wednesday afternoon. Looking at the temperatures once again here through Wednesday, we could see near 100 degrees within southern Texas. And check out all these record high temperatures as well, folks. All these circled areas here, these could be record highs. This extends from Florida all the way down into southern Texas here, even into portions of northeastern Louisiana, across Mississippi, into Arkansas, Tennessee, even into Kentucky here, where we could see temperatures on Wednesday potentially reaching into the mid to upper 70s. So you definitely see how strong this system is. And at the same time here, on the other hand, we will be looking at around the same amount of records here. So we're looking at about 32 for record highs down here in the southeast, and about 30 record lows here to the north here. These will occur across big chunks of the Pacific coastline here, so you can see all the way down even into Southern California here in these sort of rectangle outlined areas. So it's definitely pretty crazy. This will extend from Washington down through California, as well as across the northern Mountain West and the northern plains as well. Some areas may not observe above 0 degrees through Montana and North Dakota here. And some mid-70s will also be showing up here as Kentucky as well, which is definitely some crazy stuff for this time of year, folks. These warmer temperatures even extend into the World Weather Authority studio region as well. So definitely some interesting stuff here, folks. We will have a major temperature gradient. You can definitely see that's well defined here. As the cold air sags to the south and the warm air surges to the north, we will have a plethora of overrunning temperature setups as well, which will unfortunately set up a significant ice storm over the next few days. Looking at the overall setup, ladies and gentlemen, by Wednesday evening, this is so between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. here, we're looking at that snow developing across the Intermountain West, and the snow will be cranking across the northern plains all the way up through Green Bay. Definitely, we could see some light snow here. And definitely through upper Michigan here as well. Some of these areas will be absolutely dominated by this system. Further to the south, though, the lurking ice storm will be our main concern. Ice will begin to develop across southeastern Nebraska here, even across into Iowa, in southern Wisconsin as well. Northern Illinois definitely could possibly get into this icing event as well, and then definitely pay particular attention to southern and central Michigan here, folks. Most of the model guidance is very confident that a damaging and crippling ice storm will be taking shape in this location. If you live in southern and central Michigan, please stay on high alert as numerous power outages will take shape Wednesday night through Thursday morning. The ice will also be moving into portions of northeastern Pennsylvania as well. So definitely not good. This is even going to be across southern New York as well, and even into northern New Jersey here, we could definitely see some of that ice. If we head into Thursday as well, let's actually move this a little bit here. We'll go to 6 a.m. we'll go to 7 a.m. on Thursday. Heavier snow bands will blanket much of the northern plains, adding to the snowfall totals here. Some areas may see 1 to 2 feet or even more of snowfall, but again, further to the south here, that ice is still making its presence known for sure. Northern Pennsylvania is going to have to watch out for this. Could definitely be rocked by this ice storm as we step this back just a little bit. Take a look at that ice definitely developing here. This is around 4 p.m. and then eventually into 7 p.m. and into the overnight hours as well. Definitely not a good situation. So definitely please use extreme caution here, folks. As we all begin to wake up on Thursday morning, an extreme temperature gradient will be definitely present here. These are overall wind chills and heat indices across the nation. To the north, brutally cold wind chills will be present across British Columbia here, Alberta, Saskatchewan, all the way through Manitoba as well. This will stretch down into the northern plains, the Rockies, and much of the western United States. Blizzard-like conditions will be coupled with this. With these wind chills, folks, it's going to get absolutely brutal outdoors. Wind chills will drop well below zero through Nebraska here, as well as into portions of Kansas here, especially northwestern Kansas. However, it will be all about the above climatological norm temperatures across the southeast and the south, up through the Ohio Valley and the mid-Atlantic. Check out here through Ontario, folks. Check these temperatures out, Ontario and Quebec here. We could see wind chills 40 to 50 or even 60 degrees below zero, ladies and gentlemen. It's definitely nothing nice about this at all. Check this out also. You can see minus 56 here to about 59 degrees here in Ohio. This is over 100-degree difference in temperature from Quebec down to Ohio, folks. This is wind chills and heat indices, but it's definitely pretty crazy. It's going to be absolute insanity out there. This is all part of the extreme weather I have been talking about over the past several weeks. Wind chills drop below, near or below freezing into the desert areas as well. And even into Mexico here, folks. It's very reminiscent of the Christmas Arctic outbreak we had. This is sort of the luck of the draw here. You could either be looking at a sort of spring and summer setup, or on the other extreme, you could be looking at a middle of winter conditions taking place. So it's definitely not good, folks. By Thursday, we could be looking at over 70, almost 80 record highs taking shape. So we're looking at 80 degrees possibly down into Atlanta, Georgia here. So even through Myrtle Beach as well. This even extends up through Virginia. So it's definitely absolutely insanity. Definitely absolutely insane out there. Even here in the Pittsburgh area, we could see temperatures rising into the upper 60s to low 70s. If you were to tell me this before winter, folks, I would have brushed it off. But no, it's actually going to happen later on this week. So it's definitely pretty interesting to see. And check out Southern California here, folks. It's definitely happening. It's definitely cold enough to produce some snow. And through Flagstaff, possibly up to 18 inches of snowfall. It's definitely not out of the question. Significant totals will be taking shape across the west coast as well. Within the Intermountain West, we're looking at 30 inches in some of these locations up near Salt Lake City. It's definitely not good. This will be extending across all the way to the northern plains as well, where 1 to 2 feet of snow is definitely possible in this system. Also, take a look at the Great Lakes here as well. They're definitely going to be getting slammed with snowfall here. Northern Michigan, we're looking at about 12 inches of snowfall into portions of northern Michigan. Even over here into New Hampshire and Vermont, we're looking at about a foot of snow. With the bullseye here definitely taking place across Wyoming, down into Colorado here. where we can see between 25 and 28 inches of snowfall. And even here in the Sierra Nevadas, looking about the same, 27 inches of snow. And across the mountainous terrain of Oregon and Washington, we're looking at about 1 to 2 feet of snow, possibly even more in some of these areas. So it's definitely pretty crazy to see all of this snowfall totals. Significant ice will also be taking shape as well across Iowa. This is definitely between possibly even 1/4 to a half an inch of ice as possible. This extends over into southern Wisconsin, where we can see up to possibly up to 3/4 of an inch of ice. It's definitely not good. But take a look at southern and central Michigan here, folks. We could possibly see 3/4 of an inch up to an inch of ice accumulation. So ice accumulations could eclipse 3/4 to 1 inch of ice. This will be brutally crippling for these areas. This will be the case for near Buffalo as well, across portions of New York here, where we could possibly see 3/4 of an inch or up to an inch of ice. Northern and northeastern Pennsylvania could definitely see between 1/4 of an inch and a half an inch of ice as well. This extends down through the mountainous terrain. It's definitely not good. It's not looking good at all. Even portions of upstate New York getting about a half an inch of ice accumulation. It's definitely not good. We're going to see a lot of power outages. Definitely please stay off the roads, folks. Definitely use caution while driving if you have to. It's almost going to be impossible to drive here into portions of central Michigan here. So definitely not good. And this extends even into portions of Ontario as well, down through Toronto, where we could possibly see 3/4 of an inch of ice as well. So this is definitely not going to be a good situation. And lastly, let's take a look at the days to come heading into next week. We'll have 3 areas of interest here. So we're definitely looking at across the Pacific Northwest down into the Sierra Nevadas here. We have a system here coming into the end of February through early March. We also have that broad area across the Intermountain West. This is from the February 28th through the 6th as well. And take a look at this slight area through March 2nd through the 6th, as well as this slight area into New England as well through the 28th. We're going to have to watch this through the 25th and 28th, even through March 2nd and the 6th. This is definitely shaping up to be an intense few weeks. This system here could definitely propagate down to the southeast here and affect portions of Indiana, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, even into New York. So we're going to have to watch this very carefully. So always remember, guys, please stay safe during these events. It's definitely nothing to play with. We have a lot of events coming. We have high temperatures, record high temperatures, possibly eclipsing 70 high temperatures. We could see temperatures in southern Texas reaching near 100 degrees. So it's definitely be pretty crazy. We also going to have wind chills up through Quebec and Ontario that actually reach near minus 50 to 60 degrees below zero. So it's definitely going to be very intense. And some wind chills actually down into Mexico reach down into the 20s and even into the teens. You can definitely see this is sort of reminiscent of that Christmas storm, folks. But definitely thank you for joining me. If you are enjoying our content here on our channel, definitely please hit that subscribe button and enable notifications to ensure that you don't miss any future weather updates. Also, definitely leave a comment down below. We love hearing from you guys. It's always nice to see how you guys are doing and hear of the experiences that's going on with you guys. Definitely hope all is well. So it's definitely pretty crazy. We're definitely our thoughts and prayers go out to those in Ohio, East Palestine there, for that train derailment and all those chemicals. We definitely been monitoring the water situation here in the Pittsburgh area as well. So we're gonna have to keep an eye out on that. And definitely make sure you guys share this information out there so that way it reaches those that need it the most. And always remember, folks, never stop chasing.